Welcome back to What Would You Ask podcast. My next guest, yes, I said guests because I get it done for you guys every day. I didn't go and get half of Stella Valle. You guys be like, who are you going to get the other girl too? No, I deliver both of them same time. Get it done. That's what the founders, creators, designers of Stella Valle. You remember these guys, right? I mean, when you read their bio, it's like, it makes you feel bad. Like I was like, I got to go to the soup kitchen or something and donate my time because I feel so it's like an achievement. I don't understand it. These ladies, let me just run through this quickly for you. They did pretty good. All right, here we go. We move on. No, West Point grads, Army officers, right? I mean, come on. Of course, successful entrepreneurs. And then you could just stop there, but it's, Forbes selected them for 30 under 30, which I was fortunate to read. I was going to say be part of. Anyway, I could be 40 under. No, can't do that either. And all these business awards and design awards, we don't have time to go through them. And they told me, could you please not go through all of them? And I'm like, ladies, please give me a break. It's only a half-hour show. They appeared on ABC hit show Shark Tank. Season 4, we have a discrepancy here, ladies, and hopefully you can clear this up. Episode 25 or 26. I'm not sure because Hulu, is it Hulu, boys? Yeah. They say 26 and it's 25. I watched it on 25 today. So I don't know. But anyway.
It might have been the issue airing. Yeah. We had an interesting story about when we were first supposed to air versus when we actually aired. So we can
really?
About that.
Interesting. Yeah. We're going to get to that. I want to welcome my friends, Paige Walker and Ashley Jung. Welcome to What Would You Ask podcast. It's nice to be here.
Thanks. Excited to be here.
I'm glad you are. So take us through the origin. Take us through the start of this business. I was reading a lot about you guys last night, and we're going to talk about the effect that these two and their business had on my wife. We'll discuss that at the end. All I'm going to tell you is it brought out a few credit cards and cost me a lot of money. But I read about like one of you had a charm gift. They were given a gift and it was like a charm bracelet or something. And now you guys are rolling in it. Tell us about the start of Stella Valle.
Yeah. So I guess it started with me. Ashley and I both went to West Point. She's the older sister, even though I don't look it, guys, right? Like, check this out. No.
That's awesome.
So she is 5 years older, and when you go to West Point, you have a 5-year minimum Army obligation. So she was finishing up her commitment in the Army, and I was graduating West Point, about to go into the active duty Army, when they told me at West Point a month before graduation, they would not commission me into the Army due to an injury. So I was devastated. When you go to West Point, you want to go into the active duty Army and serve. And I had fought with them and I was too injured to go and serve. So I called my older sister, who was going through the same transition that I had to go through. And she was trying to figure out, okay, what career path do I want to take in the civilian world? And so she asked me what I was passionate about. And I told her I wanted to be in the fashion industry. And she was like, well, no one is going to understand coming from West Point in the fashion industry. So it was that point in time that we decided we were going to start a business together in fashion. And we were going to see kind of where it took us and where it really took me. And silly us, because we had no idea what we were doing at the time. We were just thinking we could start this company, we would grow it enough quick, and I would get some experience to then go and get a job in the fashion industry. So that was 11 years. We're 11 years after that now. Wow. And clearly I never went and got another job in the fashion industry. But for my graduation, Ashley and my mom gave me a very popular charm bracelet, and it just did not inspire me. It was for to me, it was for a much older woman. And I was in a pretty dark place. I mean, not super depressed, but I was looking for inspiration in my life. Where do I go right now? And I think jewelry in general, typically is sentimental or you have a connection to. And then charm jewelry in particular, like, has extra meaning. And it was at that point that Ashley and I, we knew we wanted to start a business. It was at that point we were like, you know what? Charm jewelry has never been updated, like, in decades.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
been
that
around
was,
for like, probably thousands of years,
Yeah.
but it's always been pretty much the same.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
agree.
couple of brands out there that have like tweaked it here and there, but it's never been completely reimagined in a whole new way.
yeah.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Couple takeaways of this. One, Ashley, you do not look 5 years older than
Thank
I'll say
you.
that. I mean, 4.5. But listen, the important thing, the other thing, no, you don't. You guys, I would never have guessed that you were 5 years older than her. That's
Most
number one.
people think we're twins. We get
Yeah,
that.
You
all
must
the
get that
time.
a lot. Yeah, I would think that. The other thing is I didn't thank you for your service. We were joking a lot at the beginning, but I really do want to do that because it's unbelievable how many, we're just talking about Rob from Ruckback on here. It's just the discipline and what you guys go through and do it for such a purpose. It's just, we're so grateful to what you've done and what all of you collectively have done. So I wanted to make sure I said that to you. As far as the story goes, my mother has, and she's 70 something, I don't know, 2 or 3. I mean, I know, Mom, exactly how old you are. I'm just got to say that for the show. Like, I'm too busy to know exactly at the time. Anyway, she's got a charm bracelet that has, something about my 4 kids, my brother's kids. There's always something on it. And it's kind of like, I always say to her, you put that on just when they come here. Because like, it's clunky. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the charms are the size of, it's like a bottle cap on your wrist. That's just one, right? That's Nick, that's Luca. It's like, come on. So, and they represent, one's baseball helmet for Nick. And then Luca's got a hockey stick, whatever. It just seems clunky. So I thought that, would you say, and we're going to get into Stella Val and all the whole journey through Shark Tank, would you say that you guys were more upscale? Because when you looked at your stuff, it was definitely, and where you were, I mean, what stores you were in, it just seemed that was what you were doing. That was the goal, right? To go that way.
Yeah, it really was. You hit the nail on the head. Our goal was, when we went on Shark Tank, our goal was to get into big box retail stores. And the retail landscape has just changed so much from then. Even, we were on the show in 2013 to now. I mean, e-commerce and Amazon has completely changed the retail landscape. So, I mean, at that point, any well-known brand was in a big department store, and that's how you made your way, and that's how you became a well-known brand. Now, I mean, that's not necessarily the case. So we've had to, adapt and change who we were and who we wanted to be in terms of like how we got the brand out there to women. So we had when we went on the show, the price point of the main line that we were selling was in the $150 probably to $350 price range. And we had 50,000 in sales when we went on the show. Like, we were a very immature business. Yeah. So we learned that our product, the type of product that we had and the market that we were trying to sell to, was so small. So we really had to figure out, how are we going to continue to scale the business having a product that was really hard to sell because of the person who we were trying to sell it to, the style of it, and the price point. Yeah. So I think that's something that actually Lori did help us kind of figure out on, just because she sells on such a mass market platform that she really knew, like, we need to lower the prices and sell a more mass market product so you guys can be more scalable as a business.
And we're going to talk more about that and the sharks that you guys ended up walking away with. But first, tell us a little bit about, where did Shark Tank come in to the growth of your company? Obviously, you were early. You mentioned that. And by the way, folks, because you go in there, you got to take the beating of not having sales numbers. We've heard this from all of the guests, but what are you going to do? You can't say, you know what, I'm not going to go this season. I'll check back with you in a couple seasons. No, there's Shark Tank's calling you, go. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're infancy or you're 5 years in, you got to take advantage of the opportunity. At worst, it's the best commercial that you don't have the $1 million to pay for. So smart move either way. Plus you guys, I don't even know if they were thinking about your sales numbers with all the stuff that went on in the tank with you guys. Holy cow. You got all these perfect, bios and resume, and you guys are, you basically stripped, which we'll talk about. And then you have a great product. I mean, I think there was one point, and I'm getting ahead of myself in the tank already, but somebody asked, I think it might've been Mark, said, how much is this? And you said $90. And what does it cost to make? And you said $3. And like Robert almost fell off his chair. He's like, that's unbelievable margin. They were like blown away by some of the stuff you guys were saying. Take us through where does Shark Tank come in the timeline of the business, and what inspired you to even think about going on the tank?
Yeah, so we decided to start the company in 2009, right after I graduated West Point. Ashley was getting out of the Army, but we both made the decision we were going to get corporate careers and start the company and kind of see where it could take us. So Ashley went into finance, I went into telecom sales. And we started Stella Valle, and we started super organically and small, as Ashley mentioned. And we really started with like family home shows. And we started doing trunk shows at Bloomingdale's and at the time Henry Bendel, that's since closed down.
Mm-hmm.
And we were 2 years into the company. And I was like 23 years old, and I already was done with my sales corporate job. And I went to my parents and I was like, I'm quitting my job and I'm doing Stella Valle full time. And they were like, you are crazy. I was driving a Mercedes. I had bought a beach house. I was doing amazing. But it just wasn't fulfilling for me. And I knew like this was my passion. So I was like, I've saved up enough money. I can live off of this. And the only way we're going to really get this off the ground is if one of us is committed. So it was like 6 months after that. And I had kind of, used a lot of that savings to live off of. And I had realized like, this is harder than I thought. So our other sister, loved the show Shark Tank. And at that point, it was like season 2. It wasn't anything what it is today. And she's like, I'm watching this show Shark Tank, and I just know you guys will get on it. Like, you have to apply. So
and mind you, Paige was like so stressed. Like, she would call me and be like, I just passed out. Like, I have no money. Her bank account, she saw like it dwindling.
Oh,
I got to get rid of my Mercedes.
Oh no,
so she was like stressed about the business.
And like, I mean, if if you have a business and you have 50,000 in revenue, like, and you go traditional financing to a bank, like, you're not getting any real lending. Like,
right,
nobody's giving you
only
money.
time you're getting money is when you're making a lot of money.
And this was right after 2008 when the entire financial
everything crashed.
Yeah, the whole financial crisis.
So basically I was like, shit. I just like opened up like abc.com or whatever, and there was like a 300-word blurb, and I told our story of coming from the military into fashion, and we got a call like the next week, and that started the process.
Wow, that is amazing. And then you go through working with your producers, right? You still have to go through making the video, and they end every call with saying, you're doing great, but it doesn't guarantee you're going to be on the air. We've heard that a lot of times, that they remind you of that after every interaction with them.
Right.
They do want to tell us a little bit about working before you get to Culver City, working with them. They really want you to succeed, don't they? They're really trying to help you out. They give a little more of this, a little less of that. They're trying to kind of get you set up to win. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure. We loved our producer. He was awesome. And we actually kept in touch with him after Shark Tank. But yeah, for instance, one of the ways he did that would be, we'd show him like this, we're thinking about wearing this. And he'd be like, all right, show me what it looks like on. We'd show him and he'd be like, no, that's not sexy enough. And we'd come back and we'd be like, okay, the next week we'd have like something else to wear. And he'd be like, it needs to be a little shorter, more skin showing.
What kind of job? Why am I not a producer, guys, of Shark Tank? You get to say, wait, I'll see you next week, and it's got to be better than that. Like, this guy had to. Anyway.
So yeah, so and the final, I just gotten married. I was a couple years married, and I showed my husband what I was gonna wear, on national TV, and he's like, "Are you serious? You're wearing that short of a dress?"
I actually think like when Ashley like ripped her clothes off, like her dress got stuck up a little bit, and I think they like edited it out. Like, so she wasn't flashing all of TV.
So they really, a lot of what they do is for TV. Like they need to get the audience entertained. That's why people watch it. It's both about you going on and sharing your business and getting a deal, obviously, on the show, but they also have to entertain people. So,
and our producer did a good job at like explaining that. And I think we being former military, we were so planned. And I think that's like came across in our presentation.
No
and
doubt.
A lot of people say that to us. But we even had planned like the energy we were going to give off, because we knew like the more excited you were, the more chance you could air. Like it was, even when they flew you out there was still a chance you didn't air. So
let me give you a spoiler alert. There was no chance that you guys were not airing. I mean, there is 0 chance. I don't care what Shark Tank people told you. When you walk out of the tank and that was over, they were just like, okay, put this one in that box over there. Trust me. There's no doubt about it. What works and what doesn't work. Let's figure it out. We got it. So let's talk a little bit about, you get out to Culver City. We understand, we've heard the whole thing about psychiatrists and golf carts and the hotel, and you get to meet your group. First of all, have you kept in touch many years later? Now, you guys, reminder to the viewers and listeners, these guys are season 4. So we're in season 12 now. Do you remember or keep in touch with anybody from your show that you were there with in Culver City?
No, we don't. I remember that in the van on the way there, the Maine Lobster guys.
Oh, really?
Went over to. Have you interviewed them yet?
We're interviewing the week after next. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They're hard to get.
Lobster. They were in the van with us. We were at the very back of the van, so we could see everyone in front of us.
We were about to throw up. Like, let's go in the back in case no one will notice.
So they were the row right in front of us as we were driving over there. And I know they got a deal with Barbara, and we followed their company closely.
And they're super successful.
Yeah,
and actually, they were like visiting local. My husband picked it up and brought it to me. So I got to try there.
And it's good.
It is good.
Yeah, I actually had to try it too. It's really good. That's a cool story. That's really cool. So take us through when you get there. You have to do your producer kind of mock, warm up. Tell us about that. Did you do through everything? Did you
nailed it? We nailed it, and they were like, "All right, you guys are good.
You're good. Next."
Really? No notes? Nothing? Wow. Good
nothing.
For you.
Like
there was 40 producers, and they didn't have one.
They were like, "You guys are good. You're good to go."
We're like, "All right,"
because we had it. We literally would call each other and just start saying our pitch to one another. Yeah. Like we were saying, I would wake up in the middle of the night, like sweating, saying the pitch. Like it was like. So we literally rehearsed it probably 3,000 times.
It was like that morning we woke up and I'm like, I can't wait to just get this over because I'm sick of this going in my head. So we were really well versed and we were both athletes in college, and I said to Paige that day, I'm like, either you crush under pressure or you perform. Like we have to perform because we know this and we know what we have to do, and we have the answers to every question they could possibly ask us. So it's like, are we going to use our nerves and our anxiety to like make us shine, or are we just going to and hopefully we did the first.
You guys did crush it. There's no doubt about that. Whose idea was it to come out in the camo or whatever it's called, and then hair up and all that, and then make the transformation that is so iconic in Shark Tank history now?
So I think like back then we were pretty fresh out of the military, and that was really a big part of our story and what we shared from our brand. And I mean, that is what our brand is all about, is using our story of coming from the military and pursuing our dreams despite having a completely different background. I mean, that's what our brand is all about. We wanted to inspire women to go after what they want in life. So we really wanted to show that drastic like transformation of what you look like in the military and then what you also can look like, in normal clothes. So
that made it clear, crystal clear. Robert wanted to join the military, if you remember him saying that. I mean, he literally said, I just want to join. And Damon went, oh, like if you listen to it really clearly, and no one's listened to Shark Tank episodes as much as I have in the last 3 months. He says, oh, like that. While you guys doing it. Was that, and I don't want to talk too much about this, maybe just 30 or 40 more minutes about it. But when you guys were doing that, I thought after it was done and you made the transformation, first thing I was thinking about, or maybe second thing I was thinking about was must have been really difficult. Like there's a lot of failure opportunities in what you did, right? Taking that stuff off. No one fell down. You guys didn't collide. Like, I have trouble putting my sweatpants on without falling over, and you guys didn't bump into each other and it was smooth, or was it not?
Rehearsed that a lot too.
Well, we rehearsed, but I would hope that you'd have a little more faith in your former soldiers than that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but I mean, a national stage in front of 5 business icons. I mean, you are Jersey girls, so you don't care who you don't care who they are. Anyway, you guys are like, I'm doing it in front of whoever. Who cares? Robert who? Mark who? No, that was good. That was awesome. That was well done. But then here's the thing that really made you guys get a deal with minimal sales, right? Was certainly your story. And this is just my view, which means nothing, but certainly your story is great, but you put it together now with a product that was really cool. I was shocked what Damon said, that he didn't like the product. I was shocked. And that must, by the way, you guys, how you kept your smiles, and it could have been editing. We know they edit different things for different, reactions, but he just, and he was honest. He just said wasn't for him, wasn't his style, whatever. He just didn't like the Julia. Did that surprise you when he said that? I mean, you were having fun with him, if you remember the back and forth.
I don't think during the whole thing it ever like hit me. Like,
he doesn't like it. Like,
yeah,
I don't. You get rejected so much, like just as an entrepreneur, and I mean, being in the military, I think like we just had tough skin. Like we know everyone's not gonna like it, and not every shark is gonna want to do a deal.
I look back at our stuff back then, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't like it either. Like, yeah, like we've learned so much about just like design and like our brand and what we want to be. And I look back at it and I'm like, ooh, our name was on some of that. Like,
yeah. We also saw, you mentioned that we were went to the White House with some of the sharks. We saw Damon at this White House event. And we talked to him a little bit about him saying that, and he had just invested in another jewelry brand the season before, and so
wasn't it Sisters too?
And it was Sisters, and they were from California, and he was like,
I don't think it was going to.
No, and it wasn't. He had already.
I know which one it is.
Them.
Yeah.
And he said it would be like a conflict. Like, you can't have 2 jewelry brands, 2 sisters on opposite coasts. Like, it just would be a conflict of interest. So he told us that after.
Yeah. It would have been nice if he said it on national TV instead of, I don't like your stuff.
But he had to have a reason not to partner with us.
I get it. So when you go through, did you get a sense, first of all, did you have a specific shark in mind before you went in that you want to land a deal? Was it looking at Lori right away with QVC and retail? Was it Mark because he owns everything anyway and he's a billionaire? Tell us a little bit about that thought process.
We didn't have a specific shark, although we did think Damon was probably our best opportunity just because he was in fashion and apparel before and new branding. So we thought he was our best opportunity to get a deal.
But when we went on, Lori and Barbara switched off like more than they do now.
Yeah.
And that morning is when we found out Lori was going to be the one, not Damon. And we found out, or not Barbara. Yeah, I'm sorry, Barbara. We found out from our producer, he like kind of pushed to make that happen because he felt like Lori would be a good fit and be interested in us. So
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
But
So-
we didn't care about the shark that invested in us as much as like we
The
had a
deal we got.
specific deal. We
Right.
like agreed together, like if we want this much money and we're only willing to give up this much of the company for that much money. So we kind of knew where we stood there. And then from there figured if we got that deal, we'd take it regardless of the shark.
Makes sense. I was a little bit surprised that, and I'm a fan of Kevin O'Leary's. I love his discipline from an investor. I don't take any stock in his being, not nice. He understands he's sitting on a TV show and that he has to play a role in that respect. But when it comes to the actual, there is two sides of Shark Tank. Has to be entertaining because it's a TV show, but it's really an investing show too, right? There's real transactions happen here. Yes, there are handshake deals in the tank, and some fall apart even if they got a deal in the tank. And by the way, the early days, you mentioned the early days when they're up on a big, in the air with stacks of money. We had Omar Solomon, and we've had Tiffany from Ava the Elephant. We've had all them on and talking about in the elevator doors would open up back in those days instead of walking through the door. It was a different environment. And the sharks would always be offering, I'll take 50% of your company, 60%. They've matured too along the way. And the entrepreneurs are better. And that really started, you start to see it in season 3 when entrepreneurs were saying no to deals. Like, no, we don't want, I'm going to say no. What? You can't say no to a shark. Like, people were walking out. That started happening in season 3 and then certainly started progressing in yours. But Kevin kept saying, you're not worth $600,000. If he said that one more time, I was like, I wanted to block. I kept hitting mute because I have to watch it over and over. Like, Kevin, please stop saying it over and over again. It was getting annoying. Did he just was not, what's that?
I think we tuned him out too.
Yeah. I imagine you would after a little bit. Lori seemed to really, when she got that necklace around her neck and she was really impressed with it. She's like, I like this. She kept mouthing it to you guys that she was like really impressed. Your margins were unbelievable. Yes, you had low sales, but your margins were really good. Did you get a sense while you're there? And again, we see, 12 minutes, I think you guys were on because you went through a commercial, but you guys were in there, what, an hour roughly?
About, yeah. I think it was about an hour.
Did you get a sense during that time as you're going through more negotiation than we obviously see that Lori is starting to really like this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think the entire time, all of them were super respectful. I think like just coming from the military and being like women, I think all of them are super patriotic.
Yes,
and
they are.
So, and then when we like kind of nailed our pitch, I think they told us, which they didn't really show. I don't know, maybe Robert, they showed where they were like, excellent job.
Like,
and that kind of like,
they said like, one of them said like best pitch we've seen. So we knew like right after that, they weren't gonna.
We were good on the Q&A. It was like, we were nervous about the pitch and not like forgetting, like you could get stage fright and forget that. We knew like the Q&A, we would do fine. So once we got through that and then they gave us kind of the compliments, it like set the stage and then we just like hammered like the questions home. And I mean, I didn't get a sense at all really that like Lori was gonna not till like the end.
She said like,
I forget, did Mark say to her?
No, she said to Mark, do you want to go in with me? Because I think it was between those two, if I remember. Yeah. And I was thinking like, who are we gonna get? And then that's when Lori said, Mark, will you go in with me on this deal? And we were happy to have 2 sharks. Like
Lori wanted to give us more cash.
Yeah,
oh, Mark did.
He didn't want to. And when she was saying that, I was like, ooh, this is gonna be really good. But then Mark wanted same cash, more equity.
Or was it the opposite?
It was the opposite. Yeah, Mark. So Lori said, I think we should go 150 for 30%. And then Mark came back and said, I think we should give him a little bit more cash. we'll give them $200,000 for 20% or for 40%. And then Lori pushed back on Mark and said, let's just stick with the 150 and the 30 or 35. And when Mark heard 35, he said, all right, I will do 150. Then Mark said to you guys, all right, we're going to do 150, 35%. And then what we see, you guys went, we're not going to wait on this. And then you said, it's a deal. I know it by verbatim right now.
That's so funny. Yeah, we actually had asked them, which they didn't show, if we could step out and talk. Even though we were going to take it, we had made a deal like between each other, no matter what offer, even if we wanted to take it, we were going to see if we could just like step out. And then someone said, if you step out.
Damon said to us, if you step out, you never know what's going to happen in the tank.
True.
And we looked at each other and we're like,
and then we were we know each other so well that we were like, we know we're both in on this. So let's do it.
That's awesome. Because I know you guys didn't get along for many years. But anyway, so I'm kidding, but I'm just kidding. I just said that. I'm sorry. My mother always told me think before it comes out of your mouth. And I still, many years later. So tell us what happened after that. Everybody wants to know. The questions we get from our viewers and listeners are always around things that they don't see. For example, the due diligence process with Lori. We have if questions get sent in once you guys commit, we ask people, hey, Paige and Ashley are going to be on the show. What do you want to know? And they ask, who did you hear from first, Lori or Mark? And they understand the teams behind it. We know that Lori's husband, Dan, runs her team, and we know Mark's guys. And so we get that. But when do you actually speak to Lori or Mark for the first time?
About a week, maybe?
Yeah. Well, Lori's husband and then Lori came in when we were sitting with the psychologist.
Oh, cool.
We met Lori's husband, Dan. Yeah. He gave us his card right away and was like, this is my card. I'll be in touch with you guys.
It was 7 a.m. the next morning. We got an email. We had an email from him, and Steven, Mark's guy, was copied on it.
And then, and then we just started.
I think a week later we talked to Lori. Lori was like our main contact.
Usually if you have two sharks, one of them chooses to be like the lead on the deal. So actually Lori was going to be the lead from like, I guess, relationship liaison perspective, but Mark's team was taking the lead on the legal and financial side of the deal. Yeah. So when we were working on finalizing the deal through all the due diligence, Mark's team was the one that we were negotiating back and forth with. And then they would share that with Lori and Dan.
The rumor in our experience is when Mark's involved in a deal, the paperwork is usually Mark's. That's just what we've heard, right? Through the entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. So how have they impacted the business? Like you're out of there now. We're going to talk about the Shark Tank effect when you air. I want to hear about how that happened and what happened to your website and, all that stuff, because you still were early. So, but tell us a little bit about the workings. Do you guys go into sessions? I know it's still business as usual. I mean, everybody says I went back and had to ship out stuff the next day, and I was doing boxes and taping stuff. And tell us a little bit about, as the months went on before you're airing, what's going on besides the legal due diligence.
Yeah. So part of the investment that we were going to do was to give me a salary so I could be paid and stop fainting. So that would help. So that was nice. So I finally got a paycheck. And then, it pretty much was business as usual. Yeah. It was crazy because our entire process from applying to airing was a year and a half. So we were one of the first to film for our season, and we were the very final episode of our season, which we were not supposed to be. We were airing originally on the night that they caught the Boston bomber.
Oh, wow.
And we had rented a bar out in New York City for our airing, and we invited all these editors of magazines and friends and family. And it's like, we knew like that day, like they were chasing the guy around Boston. And it was like literally like 6 o'clock and we're all in the bar, like everyone's having a good time. And like breaking news comes across the TVs in the bar. And we looked at each other and we just knew, because when you fly out there, they tell you like, even if you are supposed to air, it doesn't air. You don't air until you air. Like there's breaking news, and we were like devastated.
We were like, of course, like this has never happened in Shark Tank history, except the night we're supposed to air. And what was sort of ironic about it was, I mean, we were both in the military. I went to Afghanistan to fight these guys, and now here they are screwing me once again.
Oh my God.
Can't get away from this. Yeah, so it was pretty ironic that it happened, but we emailed Lori and we were like devastated, and she's
because
like,
part of it
worry.
is like the bump you get, and like, I mean, especially, but the thing is like the Sharks want you to air if they did a deal with you, because that helps them. So they went immediately, and like the next morning they were like, they're talking about when they're going to make this work, and it's going to air. Don't freak out. We just have to figure out when. And then they made the season finale a 2-hour, and we aired like a couple weeks later.
Oh, that's not bad. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah. So I think like in terms of nothing
changed really. I was still working full time. I left finance about 1.5 years into working in finance and went and worked for Deloitte as a strategy consultant. And so I was still actually working full time outside of Stella Valle then. And then a little bit after,
brought in like some other like part-time people to help me.
Yep.
So what was that experience? So did you get to go back and invite people and have the big airing that you wanted to have, or was it?
No, we basically like told everyone like, you know, confidentially, we did get a deal. Cause up until that point, you're like,
you can't tell anybody.
Sworn to secrecy. Yeah. And we really didn't tell anyone besides like our partners and our parents. So like we, you know, said confidentially, like we made a deal, and then we all just got drunk and
had a good time. We were like, well, I mean, we thought we were going to get drunk celebrating. Instead, we're just going to get drunk in sorrow, because actually at that point, we didn't know it was going to air ever. We were like, well, we're going to get drunk anyway.
That's so good. Yeah. That's so good. So what happened? Did you see hockey stick growth right away, or tell us a little bit about the evening, the week, the month?
Yeah. So we grew. So we decided to go on to QVC with Lori. And at the time, our product, you know, as we mentioned, was super expensive, way more expensive than it is today. Right. And when we went on with Lori, we knew that it had to be like more mass market and more affordable. So at that point in time, we decided to kind of make a diffusion line that we would go on to with Lori onto QVC. And that was the start of a 4-year run on QVC with Lori. Oh, and when we started with Lori, being that we were on one of the earlier seasons, we got a lot more opportunity to go on to QVC because she didn't have as many companies. Yeah. So we saw like every season, like we would be on like 12 times in a year. And then we were like 8, 6, 3, like, and it wasn't, we performed, you know, pretty good. Like, oh my God, the first time we went on QVC, I think was like even a bigger high than Shark Tank. We sold 7,000 units in 6 minutes.
Wow.
Like we were selling like $18,000 a minute. Like, I mean, coming from 50,000 in sales to like 6 months later, like it was really cool. Yeah. And I was still a one-man shop at that point. And we would pack everything in our parents' garage for QVC, like pallets, and like all of our cousins and our sisters would come over and we'd have like assembly lines packing all the QVC stuff.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
So, but we we kept getting a little less airtime, and we didn't have, and at that point our business was growing both because of QVC, but also just because we were continuing to grow the business, and we didn't have very much control over what was happening on QVC and insight into like, you're going to get this many times on the show. And from a business planning perspective, because we are super planned, and we like to know like where our business is coming from, how it's going to go this year, and we have to plan for inventory and all of that. We just felt like we didn't have control over it. So that was tough doing those years where it started getting less and less on QVC and trying to just manage the business.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about what the value is. What is the value of having a shark? Now we get Lori's deal, we get that. Are they a phone call away? I mean, they're not day to day. You guys are doing your thing, right? You guys have your own plan. You're the entrepreneurs. Maybe there's strategy. I don't know if you do QBRs with them. I know Mark's got a thing about an email with numbers every week or whatever. He can get crazy with that micromanagement stuff, but he's a billionaire and I'm not. So let's do it his way. But tell us a little bit about the value besides the, selling it at, different places or QVC. Do you feel comfortable at times where you can call out and reach out to these folks as well?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think they make sure they make you feel like you can do that. But at the same time, we were always super respectful, of who they were and what role they played. They didn't know the day to day. So how much insight could they really give you? Where I think when we went on and what we wanted from them was a little more strategic guidance. Okay, you're at this point in your business, you can have this much debt is acceptable.
Right.
And have you thought about this sales channel? And how do we get from, being 500,000 year one to 1 million year two? We didn't have those conversations. And those are the conversations we wanted. We felt like we could do the day to day and execute and all of that. But we were first time entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I'm 23 years old, have never done this before. I mean, when you go to West Point, we're business majors, but you don't go and do internships in corporate. In the summer, you're doing military training. So this was really trial and error for us at the beginning. And that's what we didn't get. But I think other company, it's also the type of company we were versus other companies. If you want to grow a brand, you have to be more strategic of product placement and sales channels and pricing and all of that. And I think a lot of these other companies that are on Shark Tank, if you have a sponge or you have you can put it in every retailer there is. And that's why those companies blow up, because they do have those relationships and they can put you on an end cap in Bed Bath and Beyond and you'll have success. That wasn't us.
Yeah. You can't do that. It's not even an option for you guys. Yeah. I get it. Makes sense.
So it was a little different for us than some other companies that go on Shark Tank and just see this crazy on, hockey stick in terms of, we grew fast, I think.
Right. I think it was 120% year over year for 10 years, basically.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
And you hear, like you said, if you're Scrub Daddy, you're doing 300,000%, a year, but it's a different model. You're 100% right. It's a different model.
And looking back also, even within our business, if we went on with the business we have today and the knowledge we have today, I think we could have capitalized way more potentially than, we did back then. You just don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. And so I think that's a great place to close it is what's going on today? How has everything evolved? I went, I'll give you my story with my wife the other night. I went on doing my research, just trying to be a good steward to you people watching and listening. And it was late at night and I was still doing research and Stella Valle's website comes up and my wife walks in like a magnet, to the website, she felt it out of the room. That she had to come in, and I was going through the different tabs and stuff, and I had the gift guide up, which if you go to their website, and you should go to their website, Stella Valle, STELLAVALLE.com. It's really well done, and actually it's too well done because I spend a lot of money. I have a list right now. I'm not kidding you, but when you go on the gift guide, right, it comes up with this thing. It's a mother's daughter holiday gift, right? And they've done a fantastic job with them. I wish they did it next year, not this one, because I've already have to buy it. But it's a mother daughter bracelet, right? It's give one, keep one, or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, then there's other things where, remember, they were a charm kind of business. Now they have bracelets and necklaces and earrings and more things that I have to buy, and rings and stuff. It goes crazy. So here's the other thing. And this is for you guys that are listening. Don't go on this website when your wife's in the room, because well, actually you should, for Ashley and Paige.
Sorry,
I take that back. We'll edit that part out, ladies, when I said that to the guys. But anyway, you go to the loungewear. I don't know what loungewear is. I never did know what loungewear is. I still don't really, but I was on that page.
You're rocking it. You're rocking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm rocking it. I'm rocking it with about 6 items you're going to see come through in about an hour, with crop tops, and I don't even know what that is, and hoodies and sweatpants and all this stuff that has sayings on them. And I'm telling you, it's all good stuff. And they got my wife is like, no, Emily, come here. And I'm like, oh, this is going to get more expensive. I like the Dream It, Live It thing, but I like the other one. But it was unbelievable. So listen, I just said, okay, just get a list. I'm going to talk to the ladies tomorrow, and I will put the order in this weekend. Fair enough. Okay. And then they said, well, we have to hold on. Don't rush into it. We got to look at the website. Maybe they'll wait and forget about it. They won't, though. So anyway, that's my story, and my order will be coming soon. Tell us about how the company has evolved since Shark Tank.
Yeah.
It's evolved a lot.
Oh my gosh.
So we talked a little bit about our sales channels. When we started, we were doing home shows. We were doing
wow.
Is he snoring or growling?
Snoring. And the thing is, I can't even put her down because she will sit and scratch me until I pick her up.
That is so funny. Everybody listen, this is the dog snoring. See that? That's a dog. That's so funny. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We were doing home shows. We were on, we were going to Bloomingdale's and doing trunk shows at, and at these other department stores. Now, 85% or so of our business is on our website. And we're really focused on direct to consumer. We just in June opened our first retail store here in New Hope, Pennsylvania, to test retail and see if retail was something that made sense for our brand in a strategic way. So we've had pretty good success with the retail store, even during the pandemic.
I was going to say, geez.
So we're considering opening a few other stores next year. And I mean, we had about 20% of our business in wholesale before the pandemic, but most of it was small boutiques and independent retailers. And a lot of those have closed down, unfortunately. They closed through the pandemic, and now a lot of them haven't made it, which is really, really sad.
It really is.
So about, 10 to 20% of our business has gone away from that and shifted to our online store and e-commerce.
Yeah. And this year we picked up an international distributor that covers Europe. So they're launching StellaValle.eu and hopefully next week. It was supposed to launch by Black Friday, but things never go as planned. But I think that's super exciting for us just to expand the brand beyond the United States. And then I think next year it's mainly like just focusing on e-commerce, and we I think have really figured that out in the past couple years, and it's the way of the future. And I mean, everyone's on it now, has to be on it now. But I think there is a huge opportunity in retail, especially if you provide an experience and create something cool and unique for people that want to come and see the brand in person.
I agree. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We were supposed to go, I told you 30 minutes. Now we've gone an hour. But, you guys are one of the best episodes. Yeah, it's been a good time. I really appreciate it. I want to tell everybody out there to go to stellavalle.com and buy this stuff. It is good. It is a magnet to your daughters and your wife, but you know what I mean? It's the holiday season. So if it happens in the summer, you go, hey, hold on a second. I bought all you that stuff on Christmas. But anyway, head there. We're also going to have them on our website. I told Ashley and Paige that we're going to move them up and get them up by the 14th. We do Monday and Friday releases of shows. So either the 7th or whatever it is. I don't know the dates. 7th, 11th, or 14th. So they'll be on the shows. You guys can find them there. The show page will be done. We'll have all links and we'll maybe even get a discount from these guys for you guys.
Yeah, we'll hook you guys up.
There you go. See, Jersey girls, we'll hook you guys up. We'll take care of you.
What should we make the code so we can tell them now?
What do you got the code? Shark Tank.
Well,
whatever you want to do. How about WWUY? What would you ask? And then just whatever you want to do, a number.
Okay. We'll do that 20.
Okay, there you go. You guys got it. WWUY 20. What would you ask? Fair enough?
We got
Sounds good.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Wish you all the best and appreciate your time.
Thanks,
so
Nick.
much.
Bye.
We'll be back with more What Would You Ask podcast in a second.